Hello, everyone. My name is Moonshine, and I'm the host of today's AMA with Nugget Trap. So we have Max and Ryan here with us, and today during the AMA, we'll be diving into Nugget Trap Gold Token, which basically began as a singular idea to digitize a gold and silver placer claim in 2022. So we are going to delve into the real world assets and its use cases in real life and how it's going to incentivize every listener and investor here in this AMA. So with that, Max, Ryan, I don't know which of you were going first, but I'd like you to introduce yourself, where you guys are from, and the rest of the team, and how you guys started this project, Nugget Trap.
Yeah, sure. So I can start off. I'm Ryan Cunningham. I'm the CEO of Cunningham Mining, and I basically, I guess I had the idea of getting into tokenization of gold and silver miners and even some copper originally, but to get into just how the project came about and this and that's going to take a few minutes. So maybe I can introduce Max really quickly, who runs most of our team.
Sure. Yeah, pleasure. So as you know, from every project, you need a start for innovation to happen. And when you combine Ryan's experience in mining and from the mining industry, and I have a 30-year background in payment infrastructure in the last 5 years in projects in many parts of the world that were involved in tokenization and gaming and structuring tokens from a treasury standpoint. Ryan's opportunity, especially in North America, where tokenization has been challenged because of the regulators, we had the opportunity to put together a program that would really embody a whole new mindset on working with junior mines from a claims perspective and bringing them into a whole new financial structure. And Ryan's plan and understanding of the whole production of mining is key because obviously from entertaining a claim to getting it to production, all the permits, everything required, you need a very deep expertise. And coupled with my experience, I believe Ryan and I have formed a model, especially the real world asset classification, that is, one of the first that truly represent what the whole structure could be like. And it took Ryan and myself to put together a whole white paper and legal opinions, which is an industry first because as you know, not many token platforms go to market with legal opinions and a production white paper. So, and we see that there's a huge fallout from the equities market to support mining companies. And I think the biggest leap there was I had a lot of experience in bringing companies public and maintaining filings as well. And again, Ryan understands how to evaluate these projects. So I think it gives us a really good understanding how to model it out. And obviously, Ryan and I are educating mining companies on what this all means, because obviously with all the news in the US in the last few days, people are still confused to how does mining and tokenization combine. And I think that's the challenge we went through first. And now that we're past that stage, I think all the news coming out is going to only help Nugget Trap really go to the forefront of how we modeled this all out.
That's
Interesting.
okay.
Okay, Ryan, you have something to say?
Yeah, so I mean, Max definitely explained what we're doing here. But I just wanted to introduce, I guess, ourselves and where we are. I'm in the States. Max is in Canada. The company is Canadian, and obviously we've been focused for the most part on British Columbia lately in the mining industry. But to get into how I saw this happening and the need for it, the paper equity markets for miners is simply just broken. And you can see it with the price of gold, almost at $3,000 right now. The publicly traded junior mining companies can't raise money. They struggle to even stay afloat. Their stocks really don't respond anymore. And what it comes down to is an allocation of capital problem. The world has seemingly shifted into this thinking that no one wants to tie capital up for 7 to 10 years and wait for a mining company to prove its reserves and actually get into production. Capital is just not patient anymore. They want to be in AI, some sort of tech, crypto. They want their ROI in 1 to 3, maybe 5 years. The old model, at least for now, seems to be broken. And so you've got all these mining companies, the publicly traded ones, the market's valuing the metal in the ground at, I don't know, $7 to $15 an ounce on average, which is just absurd. And that shows you how disjointed things are. There was a study done which really led me into my thinking in developing this token. It was a study done on all public transactions concerning gold miners, public gold miners, what they paid in acquisitions per ounce in the ground. And the average worldwide, regardless of, grade or location or mining jurisdiction, was about $63 per ounce in the ground. And that was from 1990 to 2015. And as we know, the price of gold during that time was, magnitudes lower than it is now. So you can see that the market is just not pricing in what gold in the ground is worth. And that led me to think, you've got all these miners, all these mining companies struggling for capital, whether they're public or private, but most of them having a 43101 resource that's proven, they've drilled, we know what's there, but they're still valued at, $7 to $15 in the ground. So we figured, if you could get a token that's reputable, that has a legal opinion, and set a standard where you could actually monetize in-ground assets and essentially reprice the ounces from the paper markets into a tokenized market in the crypto world where there's so much more free capital. And we think the markets will recognize the repricing of those ounces. The project started out with me finding an undrilled or unmined area in British Columbia that had already been proven in the 30s and never mined because it's so remote and the price of gold really didn't justify it at the time. So we got that deal done. We actually have it on chain, and we've been going through the permitting process. It is a placer claim, and some of the assays are available online on our website. But so we started thinking about that and got that on chain, and I started looking at these other companies, and I'm like, wow, there's a huge opportunity here. If you could help mining companies, even public juniors, get access to capital and actually do what they're going to do, reprice their ounces through a token that they can buy and sell in a liquid market and finance their industry without the debt slavery agreements of private equity or whatever type of other debt-laden instruments exist. So that's really, what we're trying to do here is create a standard where we can reprice, or a token will reprice ounces in the ground of projects that we take a part of, say a 10 or 20% stake in a certain claim or a publicly traded junior mining company, and have that translate into the crypto market, where we think the token will reprice those ounces much, much higher. And then obviously I can get into plans down the road, but there are other plans if and when, certain mines come into production. We have plans for that with the tokenization as well.
Nice, very interesting. That was a very detailed explanation about what you guys are building and how you guys intend to integrate different strategies. So I think the first question I have for you is the blockchain technology. I'm very well aware of the different risks or challenges that comes with mining, and even the regulatory uncertainty, because you have some governments in some jurisdiction that have varying policies on mining, affecting its legality and profitability. So how would you guys integrate blockchain technology to enhance transparency and efficiency in traditional mining operations?
Well, there's actually a couple ways that we're working on that. One, we have a partner company, LTIM Mindtree, that's handling our back office integration, building software, our accounting software that works with AI to real-time verification of reserves, number of tokens outstanding, just gives clarity to the whole thing. And that's all inside blockchain, obviously. And I think it's going to be a revolutionary idea. And I think eventually it will be the standard with tokenization. I mean, it's why the world's moving towards tokenization, for full transparency. But the other thing is, and we're actually going to be putting out a poll. We're thinking about wrapping the token in one of the more preferred chains to be more compatible with the tokenized world as it comes online. But LTIM, they build software for the mining industry, for optimization itself in the mining industry. So, I mean, we're partnered in a big way with a company that's on the forefront of that, but also through the token and what we're planning on doing with audited reserves in real time with AI. It's revolutionary, and Max can speak a little more to it, but we've been in the design phase of that for some time now.
What I could add to enhance that is just give you an idea. LTIM is owned by LT, which you may know as Larsen Toubro. They're the single largest energy and utility company in the world in engineering. They own LTI Mindtree, which is also a public company. It's their smaller company, but also a giant, which is the 5th largest banking integrator in the world. So when you look at Nugget Trap's modeling on the blockchain and off-chain, because it serves two purposes with the partners, the conceptual plan is to continuously model the white paper to reflect the current status of the company, which is of course found on the website. But second is to monitor how that treasury movement occurs, which is not done. And we've been working in every jurisdiction with a legal opinion So we have two law firms that are involved that are in the white paper, and we work to understand the regulatory requirements from a listing perspective with the exchanges that are licensed, but also what are the tax laws in that specific country, because the taxes are very problematic when transferring assets. Okay, so we're not just, we're not like a meme coin and hope the best. Here, it's a methodical plan that requires swaps with assets, which implicate taxes and so forth. So, and we're trying to keep it very clean and transparent. So the enthusiasm toward what we're doing is very strong with the community. So if you visit any of Nugget Trap's 20 channels, from TikTok to Instagram to Telegram, and our partners like yourself, we try to keep it on a daily basis to make everyone understand of that progression. And of course, if you go back to the links to the website, between the ambassador room, the community room, you can verify, and you can see the white paper and legal opinion constantly updated, usually on a bi-weekly basis. So we try to be as fully reporting and transparent as possible, and the allocations as well, which you'll find on those documents. So I think that's what kind of put us to the front of what we're trying to accomplish in the mining sector, which I think is a model that can lead Nugget Trap into other sectors in the mining, in other minerals other than gold. And to Ryan's point, and it's a report that we have on the website, the total combined market cap of the junior mining companies in the world is $500 million US. So you have to imagine how such a impactful and market is such a small evaluation globally. And I think Nugget Trap has the chance to really take that on and be that leader in aggregating all those assets.
Interesting. I think while Ryan was discussing about this regulatory aspect, he mentioned the role of artificial intelligence, and it got me wondering, can you discuss a little on the role of artificial intelligence and business intelligence within your platform? And why did you guys feel these technologies could actually contribute to the valuation models and overall user experience of those who join Nugget Trap?
Ryan, you want to?
Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead. All right. So, as you know, artificial intelligence, automation of processes, and of course, integrating into large vendor partners requires streamlining all this information. Ryan's expertise was taken and modeled out in a way to what we call an intake, or to ingest information from possible mining opportunities to understand their claim, their permits, and how to evaluate that whole model so that we could give a fairness opinion on value in order to bring them into the Nugget Trap token model. At the same time, that data, of course, has to be shared with partners, accounting systems and so forth, or ERP solution, so that we can basically have what we call a public data room. And that data room is what we're going to launch and release as part of Nugget Trap. So stakeholders or utility use can track real time what that value line is. Okay, and we believe AI is crucial to that part because it's entirely data driven. And what most people don't comprehend is the complexity of managing 10, 11, 12, maybe even 20 different crypto exchanges at the same time. Okay, there's a complexity across the board because each one handles different demographics of people, investors, and jurisdictions. So we believe that in order to make this efficient and to be a world-class player, we need to put all that compiled information and have an automation process that we believe artificial intelligence will make available on demand. So, and I think that takes the value of this to really a whole new level, because we can actually be the first to model it out because we were one of the first in the real world asset side to deliver a claim out of Canada, obviously, as you know, and that claim is part of what's known as the BC Golden Triangle, one of Canada's richest zones of gold in the country, or even in the world. So it's a benchmark onto what Ryan and my support is trying to establish.
Interesting. Thank you so much for answering that question. So next, I think the most important thing to acknowledge about your project is you're going to have a lot of new crypto users or newcomers, those who are in real life but they got interested, project because of kind of utilities you guys intend to offer, and plus you guys are offering reward assets. So user adoption is the key for any project success. So what strategies are you implementing to make Nugget appealing and accessible to both crypto newcomers and experienced users? Sorry about
Um, well, for one thing that people need to understand, we're kind of bridging two worlds here. You've got the precious metals investors that have always either they're in mining or they're just precious metals investors and they've bought mining stocks forever. And then you've got the crypto world that's interested in our use case of tokenization of precious metals. And what we're trying to do is bring that together, right? You've got two totally separate worlds, different capital types, different strategies. But I think one of the big things we're doing is, we're going to be getting on more and more exchanges over the next coming months. Maybe some bigger exchanges. We've gotten a lot of requests, but I have to tell you, at the beginning, it was not very easy. They didn't know how to list something that actually had an asset in it. A lot of tokens. There are RWA platforms, this and that, but to actually have an asset on chain is a whole different animal. One other thing we're doing besides the exchanges, we've been talking about different airdrops, and we have our ambassador program, which is on the website. But we're looking to do some specialized airdrops, maybe on certain exchanges. But overall, we're looking to get more penetration into the market through more exchange listings. Is the big thing. Whether it be, in Asia, North America, South America. I mean, we definitely have a lot more exchanges to jump on and a lot of offers to do so.
Yeah, and I think to further that is that we're also looking on expanding onto the multiple chains, like Ryan said at the beginning, and then of course different pairings other than USDT, because some people have concerns. So, and it's more accessible. So I think that's going to be the main focus you'll be hearing about in the next 90 days.
Interesting. So while you were answering, another question that came to my mind was how you guys are actually going to gather these mining reports, because there are so many issues that could be associated with these. Data collection issues, environmental or regulatory compliance, financial and economic barriers. So with that, especially the financial aspects, because the kind of project you guys are building, finance is a backbone of your project. So while you discuss this in details, you could as well just walk us through your tokenomics, how you guys have structured the tokenomics in a way that it keeps your project sustainable on the long term.
Max, if you want to handle tokenomics.
Oh, sure. So on the website, in the white paper, we provide an organizational structure to the treasury of the token. It's built on a max supply cap at 5 billion, with about 1.1 billion of those tokens issued against the asset from Cunningham Mining, okay, the parent to the offering. In that modeling, we have set different percentages that, based on the liquidity and the treasury movement on these specific deals that Ryan is working on to do swaps with for these assets and these mines. Those allocations reflect percentages according to the issuance of that token. So, and that's been modeled out, which is again available on the white paper, and then that percentage will move. Now, some of it is allocated to industry vendors or partners. So, and that's tying into data infrastructure with ERP systems, companies like Statista that provide very particular mining information worldwide, and agencies that reflect everything from permitting to active claims. And of course, one topic that has to be always covered in mining is political stability. Okay, so that has to be reflected. But I think what it really comes down to that point is the type of due diligence that's done in each model, okay, for the tokenomics, because the plan of this tokenomics is to offer a decentralized finance, everything to also providing a payment solution, and that's a primary reason Ryan brought us on board, is how do we tap into payment infrastructure for these mines. And as you know, mines are typically set out in very difficult destinations, and how do these things like spending, payroll, funds transfer, equipment, right? So all this can be found in the tokenomics model available by NuggetTrap on how it's intended to structure it. And we have a very large financial network that we've established. In fact, one of the partners, which we named specifically, is it's payment disbursement through ATMs, where cash withdrawals can be taken without a credit card or debit card, simply by a QR code that we're associating with the token. So, and that would allow it to burn and so forth. So those details are being updated as each partner is being brought in and streamlined into the token itself. So what I think you're going to find is this new economic model that's supported by NuggetTrap's token is obviously needs to be strengthened and supported by its whole treasury. And that was the primary focus of the white paper, to make people, investors or stakeholders or utility purposes want the token. And the challenge there was, how do we work with regulators to make sure that we didn't cross the line into a security? Okay, and as you know, that's the most important part, which of course most tokenomics model may fail. So I believe we have a very rich data-centric model that allows for the fluidity of the token to be used in the mining industry, from payroll all the way down to equipment, to buying and swapping of assets. So I think the unit or stakeholder of the token has a lot of upside potential onto how this can grow.
Nice, really nice. And since we're on that aspect of the topic, I just wanted to know, what marketing plans have you guys probably implemented in the past, or are you guys planning to implement now to keep reaching your target audience? And definitely, I'm sure you guys want Nugget Trap to be a very a global token, a global project. So how are your marketing strategies tailored in real life and on crypto?
Ryan, you want to talk? Or want me to?
You're fine. Go ahead.
Okay.
I'll come in.
All right. So, I have to say, at the beginning, there was a lot of trial and error. When you're trying to promote a product that has an asset, the industry itself might not be so sexy. The mining industry, it's a B2B model. Investors, consumers, it may be not something so attractive. So when you wrap it up in marketing, you have to try to really change the perception of the audience. Obviously, social media channels, Telegram, Reddit, AMAs with yourself, Gold Diggers, are very critical. Now that we have, kind of found a way to be very daily active across about 22 social media channels, and of course, how we deliver our message. Now we're focusing on how do we message also the mining community, because now we have a vetted package that works, and we're working now with larger communities in the crypto space through the exchanges on marketing awareness programs with them as well. Ryan is focused on developing a very unique airdrop to entertain on how it could be for Nugget Trap. We don't want to have any misfires, so something going to be an incentivized marketing program through the ambassador program. I believe will have a great impact on how RWA can be part of crypto communities, anywhere. And because we have such a large reach now through all these exchanges, there's a total accumulation of about 90 million account holders. The full expansion for this year with some of the top 3 tiers we're talking with would bring that to probably 150 million to 200 million active account holders. So the marketing will only evolve through those campaigns, and I think the key is these AMA sessions, so people can get really an understanding, or at least definitive answer to what they're buying into, and what the market ahead looks like.
Nice, right? You wanted to say something there?
No, a lot of people, I feel that the community is starting to realize what we are doing, and how it differs from other gold token projects. And I mean, we actually have a business inside of a token here, which is definitely has been talked about before, but never done. We're actually doing it. I mean, I can tell you that we're negotiating with, I don't even know, 4 to 6 different mining companies right now. A lot of people want to be involved in this. They have to be careful from a regulatory aspect, which obviously has been forefront for us, having a legal opinion and getting on markets with an asset already in the token. But I think, eventually people are going to realize that this just isn't, talk of RWA. We're actually monetizing in-ground assets, which I know the financial community is starting to do with U.S. Treasuries and other things through BlackRock and those, but we're definitely at the front of this. And I think people are going to look back and go, I didn't really understand what their token represented and what they were doing. And it kind of clicks for people after a while. So it can be difficult to get your head around. I mean, 90% of the world still doesn't understand Bitcoin. So when you get this far into the labyrinth and you start explaining, well, we're actually tokenizing real assets, precious metals through miners, and they kind of scratch their head. But it's, it's a journey, it's a process, and it's happening. I mean, we're seeing it happen, and a lot of the miners are starting to come around to this way of thinking. I mean, they realize that their routes to finance are slim to none. The capital's just not there the way things were. So we feel this is the correct avenue move forward.
Nice, thank you. Thank you for that back there. I really appreciate it. So I think one last aspect I wanted to really touch on before we open the floor to the community is the Cunningham mining. So how does this Cunningham mining assess the value of Nugget Trap Gold Mine, and what methodologies are employed to ensure that the tokenization process accurately reflects the mine's intrinsic value?
So just to understand our structure, I don't want to point to I don't want to have to point to a specific crypto, but it's kind of like, Cunningham Mining is the vehicle that is doing the things in, as an entity that exists. The token is its own thing, but Cunningham Mining obviously owns most of the token, and the team decides which mining projects to participate in. The big thing that we're looking at is if we don't want to put a bunch of deposits or mining equity in mining companies in this token that don't make sense. We don't want projects that are considered non-viable or this or that. We're trying to gather up quality projects with quality ounces in the ground and tokenize them. And it takes some time. I mean, you have to sift through a lot of crazy proposals and companies that say they have this, they have that. Obviously, if they have a 43-101 proven resource, that takes care of a lot of it. But some don't, and especially the placer type of claims. So you really have to do your investigating. Now, I think in the future, if we find a project that we think is viable, we will go in and do our own drilling and coring and studying before we make the investment. So obviously we lean more towards a 43-101 just because of proven resource with a certain standard. But I mean, we're evaluating several projects right now. So, but our goal is to make sure that we're not putting something in the portfolio that doesn't make sense or doesn't fit into what we're trying to tokenize and what we're trying to do with the token.
Nice. So basically, I still have a few other questions, but I still would like to open it to the community because that is definitely the people you'd want to hear their voice out. So let's take Elsin. Elsin, you have been allowed to speak. Did I unmute you? Just give me a moment. Okay, Elsin, you have been unmuted. You can ask a question, please.
Thank you very much, Moonshine. Hi, Ryan. Hello, Max. Great presentation so far. So you guys emphasize that NGTG unlocks assets liquidity. So my question is, how does the tokenization process ensure that physical assets remain liquid in digital markets, and what mechanisms are in place to prevent price manipulation?
Max, do you want to handle the first part of that, or?
Sure. That's a great question.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. So, look, the price manipulation is a challenge that Ryan and I are dealing with every day, because the crypto market is a trading bot algorithm monster. And obviously, it is very difficult to understand what's organic trading and what's manipulation. There are rules, and we believe that as the crypto exchanges mature and regulators get involved, which we have seen, that market maker manipulation and crypto exchange false trading are abandoned. Okay, and we don't employ any automated systems that we in any of the exchanges. We are aware some exchanges did have their own mechanisms. Okay, we are not on those exchanges, or we try to make sure that that's not part of our DNA. Okay, we're fully disclosed. We provide as much transparency to all the markets as possible through white paper and legal opinions. One thing many people might realize at some point is that all disclosure and all the information about the company is available publicly and reachable, which is not readily available on many of the exchanges by many companies that are listed in tokens. So we fall and live in jurisdictions that don't take kind to manipulation. So we haven't put the asset in a jurisdiction where that's not touchable, which itself should lend to some transparency and credibility of the fact that Nugget Trap is a Canadian oriented operation, and of course Ryan is American, I'm Canadian, so we fall under very specific security laws despite it being a token, which we are working with regulators on. The process that we commenced with Nugget Trap from the beginning, we did a private placement registration and exemption for accredited investors prior to token being launched. Those registered tokens are still in escrow, have not been released because of the volunteer provisions that we put in place for holding those tokens, not for them to be able to sell into the market. Okay, so those provisions alone can tell you how serious we take these considerations, and ourselves, that we disclose our positions to the exchanges and market makers itself with our accounts, and we're not allowed to trade on those accounts. So I hope that answers the first part. The second part is we're trying to bring this model of real-time accounting, and we're not far, but we're working with LTM, a very large partner, Microsoft Dynamics, to make this as visible as possible real time. And I think that will show all registered positions at all times. And I think that's what we're aiming for here. I hope that answers that part of the questions.
Yeah, guys, great answers. See, thanks on the clarity on the tokenization process. Sounds like a robust system. It surely helps to address my concerns. So I'm just looking forward to seeing the project's progress. And yeah, that'll be all for me. Cheers.
Cheers. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Elson. That was a very good one there. Thank you. So let's get Anderson to ask a question. Anderson, you have no music. You can ask a question now.
Yeah, all right, thank you. Thank you so much. Hi, Max. Hi, Arce. Okay, so yeah, I do have a question. So I just want to know how the value of the Cunningham Mining token is determined. Is it directly pegged to the physical gold extracted, or are there additional factors that influence its valuations? What measures are in place to verify and audit the actual gold reserves backing the tokens, ensuring transparency and trust for investors?
So that's a great question. Right now the only asset on chain is our placer claim in British Columbia. It is near some very, very large, one of the largest gold deposits with the underground mine in the permitting process right now, which is the KSM project with Seabridge. We're not far from there. We're in that trend with all those large companies. The market itself, I mean, we could sit here and tell you we know exactly how it's valuing it and this and that. We're still figuring this out, how the market really is going to value the gold in the ground. Is it going to follow the rest of the altcoin market? Is it going to detach and start going with gold itself? Is it going to start looking at our actual reserves and things that we've proven? I mean, we have dug test pits, we have the assays online available of our current claim, but that's kind of the mystery of being first in the market. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that we know exactly for sure how the token is valuing the asset currently. Unfortunately, we have been when we got our verification on CoinMarketCap and everything, I think we've been kind of trading along with the rest of the alts. Some days not, but some days yes. And then gold movement, I mean, that's time's going to tell on that. But I would be amiss to sit here and tell you that we know exactly how the token and what discount it's going to put on gold in the ground. I can tell you, though, that I think that this token will put a much higher valuation on gold in the ground versus the paper or stock markets. So, and we intend to prove that soon. We're working on deals with companies that are verified 43101 reserves, and we'll see what happens when those deals are consummated, and see how the crypto market values these assets versus the paper markets. I mean, that's really what we're excited to see happen, and I myself think it's going to be magnitudes higher than the paper markets.
Perfect. I do have to say I love the transparency on this one, and I could see you are definitely taking your time with this project. So it's a great one. Yeah, I'll have keeping a close eye on this one.
Appreciate the question. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much, Anderson, for that question. So let's see who we are muted. Jason, you can go next. You can ask a question.
Thank you. And here goes my question. Are there any buyback mechanism or redemption opportunity available for investors who may want to convert their token back into physical gold?
Max, if you want to, you can tell them what we've been working on with that, thinking about.
Okay, so you're talking about from the production side,
Yeah, he's talking about future redemptions into gold and
okay, all right.
what we've been talking about there.
Yeah, so kind of got to give you two answers to that. One is from the prior question, I think the gentleman asked. So, there's a part of this which is a free market price range, right? Because obviously Nugget Trap is trading on multiple exchanges and so forth. And right now, Nugget Trap is in a process of finding its evaluation modeling and having the communities accept that model and, of course, reflect the price. When we get into a redemption model, we've been working on a model which pegs it to a stated price of gold the moment the utility or the token is purchased, which locks in your right to the price of gold from production. Okay, so that means if you hold the token at a certain period from the date you bought it, you would have the accumulated rights to convert it into gold at the moment you locked in the price from production. So if gold was at $2,600 US an ounce the day you bought the token, and then it would be produced or in production in a year, and at that time gold would be at 3,200 US, you'd have the right to redeem it at $2,600 from the day you reserved it.
And so, just to add to that, that will trade as a derivative token, is what we've been working on with that. And it's essentially like buying a call option on gold that doesn't expire and doesn't decay. But of course, there must be production there, just to throw that into you.
Yeah. So think of it as your token having two values. One is the free market value of Nugget Trap token, but then the intrinsic embedded value of the spread of that gold. And in this case, where from 2600 to 3200, you had a token that had a warrant of sorts or derivative of $600 US spread of profit. So you can imagine the reality of it is of what that value can put that specific token into. Okay, so and all for holding the token during a period of price commitment. So I hope that's clear on how I explained it. But
Thank you very much.
Pleasure.
Yeah, thank you so much, Jason, for throwing me that question. So before we take another question, just to add, throw more light on Jason's question, I just wanted to be clear on that aspect of the buyback mechanism. So for the Nugget Trap token, would you guys be having like bronze and buyback mechanism, and how frequently would this happen?
The buyback would be set by a period date selected. So, and of course, there's a percentage allocation toward production. Okay, so there's a math that has to happen based on those reserves that would come in through the original swaps that Ryan is working on with companies, mining companies. Okay, so if your token had if you had a certain amount of tokens, you would have a right to a percentage of the purchase at a fixed price of when you reserved it. Okay, so that math would equate to the benefit you earned by holding and purchasing Nugget Trap token. So imagine you wanting to sell that derivative product. You could actually hold a token for one value and offset the derivative to someone who wants to buy all your options for another value. Okay, so and of course that would be with the true production of that gold coming out of the ground. Okay, now what some real world asset type gold companies are trying to do is they're all trying to tokenize gold coming out of the ground. Okay, that model is proving not to be very profitable. Okay, because you have to hold the gold, you've got to store the gold. Okay, it comes with many headaches. We came together on this model saying there's a way to deliver the price of gold and the production that doesn't warrant this whole infrastructure problem. And I think Ryan has really put a model here together that is ingenious, that really delivers on holding the asset and benefiting from a future production of the asset.
Interesting. Thank you so much, Jason, for that question. I hope that answered the question. I think network pulled him out already. Let's get the last question from David. David, you can ask a question now.
Okay, yeah, thank you for having me. My question, so talking about Cornium mining tokens, so are there any distributional limits on who can invest in Cornium mining tokens? And well, if so, how do you plan on expanding accessibility while maintaining compliance? Yeah.
Wait, I didn't quite understand that. Are there any what with the tokens?
So I heard the gentleman, if I may. So
yeah,
we don't have a maximum limit per purchaser. Okay, so there's no cap to that limit. Obviously, there's an offering model that we have not yet distributed on the markets. So that would be announced, of course, and the way we like to do this is we kind of put out community polls to discuss and determine what steps have to be taken and what is the preference. So this whole model is really predicated on participation by community holders. So it's a give and take model and on a vote system or consensus. So the way it's structured out is if the general consensus agrees, then obviously proceed. So was there a second part to the question?
Yeah, I think what he was asking was are there jurisdictional limitations on
Yeah, yes, of course. Yes, so I now remember the question. So kind of what we said to the beginning, we work with legal teams on expanding the exposure of the legal opinion by jurisdiction. And each jurisdiction, as you know, especially mining, has its own different life or permitting process, and of course, political and so forth. So it's very specific on how we model a swap. What could be done in Canada, what could be done in Africa, and what could be done in Europe may not be the same. Okay, so the ideal model is how to process that value and how to convert it into a token, but remain within the regulatory framework to allow for intake into the token itself. Okay, so as you know, you may have a token that operates in Canada but might not be listed in Canada because there's no framework for it. So you have to have two jurisdiction control. One is Canadian regulators because of the asset is located in Canada, and the second is the asset is traded outside the country under an exchange. So you have to deal with the regulators or dealers in that network. So the token almost has two lives, so to speak. And of course, we always go back to the white paper on how it has to reflect those changes, because it does change the governance of the asset in question.
It's in other words, it's tricky.
And those are the easy words.
There's just a lot of variables that go into this. I mean, really, it's never been done. So, kind of breaking new ground here.
Transparency about just giving us the real details rather than just trying to fine tune everything and it just becomes all unrealistic. I really appreciate the fact that you guys acknowledge some of these risks, limitations. It goes as far to show that you guys are very knowledgeable and you guys know what you're actually building and how it could affect every jurisdiction. So I really appreciate that transparency from you guys. And so, David, I hope that answers the question, correct?
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you for the question. So I think we are far past the time. It's usually an hour AMA, and we still have a lot of questions in the comment section, and I see some people still raising their hands, but that's all we.
If people would like questions answered, they could even write in to our X page.
Yeah, definitely. I encourage everyone to join those shows, not just those who had questions to who still have questions to ask, even just to get updates about Nugget Trap, because the specials are where you're going to get first-hand information about what they plan to build in the future. So guys, please join the Telegram, follow them on X, and get updates, ask your questions, whatever. I'm sure Max and Rihanna always happy to answer your questions. So with that, this is how we come to the end of today's AMA. But before I close down the VC, I'd like to give you guys a closing floor to just give some concluding statements.
Oh yeah, sure. Well, I appreciate everyone's interest in the project. It just hasn't been easy being first and bringing an asset on chain, a mine or a placer claim that a lot of the exchanges didn't understand and people can't get their minds around. But we really appreciate the interest, and we're active every day moving this thing forward and looking forward to announcing some deals in the near future that will bring more assets onto the token's balance sheet. So we appreciate everyone.
Okay, thank you so much, Rayan. Max, do you have anything to say?
Yeah, I think, adding to Ryan, look, this is a new space within an existing space. And I think as you'll be able to see what a transaction will look like from an asset, I think it'll also give good guidance on how to model out the potential earnings of the opportunity. So keep watch on that, and we'll be making some announcements that'll help guide people into understanding how this will play out.
Interesting. I just want to say big shout out to you guys. You guys are doing something very incredible. And when you look at the space and see that what's really trending is just me. And you guys stood out very differently, trying to build something of real utility and even extending it into real world assets is something to applaud for. I personally would join the channel and also try to keep up with your ex because I appreciate what you guys are building. So big shout out to you guys and definitely to the rest of your team. So thank you all so much for coming to GOLDDIGGERS, and we hope to have you guys in the future. I know maybe many months from now, a year from now, when you guys have crossed so many milestones and probably expanded and built so many utilities in your ecosystem. So thank you so much, Ryan. Thank you so much, Max. Thank you so much, everyone, for listening in.
Pleasure.
See you guys in the next AMA. Bye.
Okay, guys. Thank you very much.
It was a great group. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.